Okay, cool. So next, we're going to change gears and start to get into Ayurveda. So let me just give a quick explanation about what Ayurveda is in case you don't already know. So Ayurveda is a thousands of years old. It's as old as yoga. So, depending on who you talk to, maybe somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 years old. And it's a system of health and healing. So, in Western medicine, the idea is that if you're sick, you go to the doctor and they give you some kind of a remedy to fix your problem. Ayurveda is like in India, there are Ayurvedic doctors, but the philosophy is quite different. The philosophy is on maintaining your good health as much as possible. And then if you happen to get sick, then yes, the Ayurvedic doctor can help to treat whatever illness you're having. But first and foremost, we need to support our current health and keep ourselves generally as healthy as possible. So it's a little bit of a different approach than Western medicine. So that's what Ayurveda is. Next, there are one of the main and important principles in Ayurveda is there's a concept of the 3 pillars of health. And the 3 pillars are sleep, food, and then your other activities that you do in your life. So today we're going to talk about sleep. And I'm going to tell you, from an Ayurvedic perspective, what do we need to do with our sleep to make it be healthy sleep so that, we're nurturing our baseline health and we're as healthy as possible. Because when we are as healthy as possible, then we're better able to manage the stressors that inevitably come up in life. There's a lot of discussion. There's a lot to know about sleep from an Ayurvedic perspective. So I've just kind of written some notes to keep me in order as much as possible. The first thing that I wanted to mention is, how do we know if our sleep is good or not good? There's kind of 4 questions that we can ask ourselves. The first one is, how long do we sleep? How long do I sleep at night? Western guidance is that we are supposed to sleep 8 hours per night. Ayurvedic guidance is different. Ayurveda teaches that we should sleep 6 hours per night, but it needs to be high quality sleep. In other words, it shouldn't be interrupted. So the first question is, how many hours are you sleeping per night? The second question is, do you fall asleep easily? Or when you lie down in bed, is your mind racing? Are you tossing and turning? Does it take, 15, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours to fall asleep? That's another indicator of, the health, the quality of your sleep. The third question is, do you wake up during the night? Once you lie down, do you go to sleep and stay asleep until the time when you are meant to wake up in the morning? Or do you wake up and you're thinking about things, or you need to go to the restroom, or there's some kind of disturbance that happens in the night that wakes you up? And then the fourth question is, when you wake up in the morning, do you feel fresh? Do you feel refreshed? In India, they say, do you have freshness? But from an American perspective, that sounds odd. So we can translate that as, do you feel refreshed in the morning? So these 4 questions will give you a clue about whether your sleep is fine or whether you need to make some adjustments to your sleep. Yeah, go ahead.
Do all of these need to be positive?
They should be.
Oh, really? All of them?
Yeah, all of them.
Can't be one is off?
No. Yeah.
Really?
Well, I mean, of course, there's going to be, it's a spectrum. And, but ideally, if you are a person who has good sleep, all of those will be positive responses. My sleep duration is somewhere between 6 to 8 hours. Mm-hmm. I fall asleep easily. I sleep all night long. And when I wake up, I feel refreshed. Mm-hmm. Then my sleep is good. If you can't answer positively to all of them, then we need to work on some stuff. And so I'll talk to you about that next.
Okay. That's what I wanted. So there is ways of working on all 4 of these. You didn't just to set us up, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to talk to you about next. Yeah. Do you all have any like specific sleep concerns that you want to mention before I move into this?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like, I was looking forward to this. Okay, so it's all of them,
Okay.
all of them, because I'm going through the middle-aged type of woman thing. It's really hard for me to uh stay asleep and everything. I'm getting the 6 hours, but are interrupted. I'm going to the bathroom. Actually sometimes just waking up because I'm hot
Yeah.
and everything and stuff. So, and I don't know what does feeling refreshed feel like when you wake up? Like, does
Yeah.
anybody can say, what does that mean? What does that feel like? Like
Yeah.
in a lifetime, I don't even have kids. And I thought maybe I should feel better waking up.
Right.
I got a husband, but like
So
this.
refresh means that when you wake up, you feel like not tired, like you feel like you have a good amount of energy and you're ready to begin your activities. Like, I wouldn't say you're in a good mood, but you're just like content and fine and ready to go. Yeah, not feeling groggy, like you wake up and you're, alert within a relatively short period of time and ready to begin your activities.
And that's even if things are going well in life, we should wake up ready to face the day that way.
Yes.
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Yeah. And so, right now we're talking about sleep, and this is kind of the first building block. But the other things that we'll talk about over the next few weeks will also help to kind of support your sleep. So yeah, so you'll learn some stuff today, but then you'll continue to learn some stuff that will be related to sleep over the next couple of weeks. Okay, so I'm going to try to get through all of this today so that you can also work on your sleep as homework over the next week. Okay, so I think everybody knows that the reason that we need to sleep and sleep well at night is because it's while we're sleeping that our bodies regenerate, they repair cells, and all of those kind of functions happen while we're resting. So it's important to our health to get good quality of sleep. Let's talk about some of the barriers to good sleep. This is kind of like there's a ton of possible barriers to good sleep. And so let's talk about those and then what we can do about them. The first thing is that we have to figure out what our individual barriers to good sleep are. For example, maybe you're having trouble falling asleep at night because you were working too late. Like you're working until 10 o'clock using the computer and then you're trying to go to sleep at 10:30. Well, it's not going to happen. Your brain's not going to be ready. Your brain is still going from, the work that you were doing. You need to give yourself some quiet time at night between, whatever your last activity is and the time that you're going to sleep so that your brain can calm down and be ready to sleep. Sometimes children are a barrier to sleep because, you put them to bed, but they don't actually go to bed and they keep waking up and you keep having to help them and you can't do whatever you're supposed to be doing to get your own self ready for bed. And so that pushes your bedtime later and stresses you out. And then you go to bed and you're so stressed out, adrenaline's flowing and you can't sleep. So sometimes the children are the barrier and you have to deal with that first. You have to help them solve their problem so that they can sleep, so that eventually you can start to work on your own sleep. Pets can also be a barrier to good sleep because they either wake you up in the night and need to go out, or they're sleeping in your bed and taking up space, or they're sleeping in your bed and they're hot and they're making you hotter. So, we have to figure out if pets are a barrier to sleep, how can we fix that? Does the pet need to sleep in another room? Do they need to be in a crate? Do they need to be on the floor? Can you put the pet's not going to suddenly agree, like, yes, I've been sleeping with you for 10 years, but now suddenly I have to sleep on the floor. The pet's not going to be happy about that. So we have to put some effort into figuring out how to manage that. How do we make the pet be comfortable? Because we need the pet to be comfortable so that we also can be comfortable. It's kind of the same with children. Maybe your barrier to sleep is that you're reading something that's too stimulating in bed at night. And so you finish your reading and you're like, okay, it's 10:30. I'm going to go to sleep now. but then you can't sleep. So maybe you need a different kind of reading material, or read that invigorating book at another time of day. Sometimes the barrier to good sleep is that you have to wake up in the night to go to the restroom. So if that's the case, you need to stop drinking your fluids earlier in the evening, maybe like an hour or 2 hours before bedtime. That way you can void your bladder as much as possible and then go to sleep. And then hopefully, at least reduce the number of times that you wake up, if not eliminate having to wake up for the purpose of going to the restroom. Sometimes the barrier to good sleep is a sleeping partner who's snoring. Does anyone have that? That's really tough. So if that's the barrier, then you've got to figure out how to solve that problem. Maybe this person needs to go to the doctor. Maybe they need a CPAP. Maybe you just need to move yourself to a different room, or move the snoring person to a different room. Because, if they're interrupting your quality of sleep all night long, you're not going to wake up feeling fresh in the morning. Like it is just not going to happen. You have to solve that snoring problem one way or another. Temperature can also be a barrier to good sleep. It could be that your room is not the right temperature, or like someone was mentioning earlier about, hot flashes in the night and feeling hot, just you yourself. The hot flashes probably is more like a medical question, to talk to your doctor about. We can also talk about that a little bit from an Ayurvedic perspective when we talk about food in the third week. But there may be some barriers to sleep that are unavoidable, like hot flashes, but maybe we can cool the temperature of the room so that we're offsetting that a little bit and making it less disruptive. Let's see what else I've got. You need to make sure that your sleeping quarters don't have light, things that you plug in that light up or whatever, if that disturbs you in your sleep. Also, that there's not noisy things around, like, I don't know, a clock that ticks or something like that, something that is a sound that disturbs your sleep. I think, oh no, we didn't talk about this one. We also need to make sure that we don't eat our dinner too late. You know how we talked about, not doing your yoga practice too soon after a meal? It's the same thing for eating, because your body is doing the work of digesting after the meal. And if you're trying to sleep, that process of digestion can be disturbing to your sleep. So it's good to eat your dinner at least probably 2 hours before your bedtime, so that the majority of digestion can happen. And then, your body's not doing that work during the night. Okay, that was my brainstorm list of all the possible things that may be disturbing your sleep. Do you have other barriers to sleep that you have identified in your own life?
TV.
TV? Yeah. Alcohol. Yep. Yeah. Alcohol, can also be a big barrier to sleep. Like, we think we're drinking a glass of wine to help us relax, but it is actually also a stimulant. So it can keep you up at night. So if you're going to drink alcohol, maybe have it earlier in the evening so that you can process it and digest it. Follow it with some water, so that, when you go to bed, it's less likely to wake you back up. I have not heard of sleep deprivation revenge. What is that? That sounds fascinating. I'm going to look it up. I'll look that up.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Oh, I can share it real quick. It's a quick thing. It's basically, if you don't get enough time to yourself during the day,
Mhm.
that you are pushing yourself to stay awake late at night because you're wanting some alone time, some
Yeah,
come down time.
absolutely.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I know what this concept is. I just didn't know that it had a name. That makes sense. I think that, I think this is something that got a name during the pandemic, with, having kids at home and having to care for them and having everybody at home and getting all the stuff done and not having time for your own self during the day. Yeah, I feel this. I feel this myself personally. So that's another, definitely a real barrier to overcome of how do I get a little bit of time to myself so that I'm not making myself stay awake, even if I'm exhausted, just because I feel like I need that alone time, that quiet time to do my stuff. It's a tough one. Yeah. I mean, we kind of touched through a lot. I went quickly through a lot of different barriers and kind of mentioned simplified versions of how to solve the problem, but really solving the sleep barriers can take a long time. It may not be something that you're going to solve in 1 week. It may take months to solve your sleep problems. But it's good to recognize what your disturbances to your sleep are so that you can start to work on them and and eventually get to a point of being able to improve your quality of sleep. And even if you don't solve all of them today, if you can at least solve some of them and start making your quality of sleep better than it has been, that already will be an improvement. Did I see someone trying to talk?
Yeah. So naps are not really good.
Yeah, naps are not good. That's one of the things on my list. So day sleeping, it's called day sleeping in the Ayurvedic, in the yoga texts. Day sleeping is not recommended. Day sleeping is only meant for, or it's only healthy for babies, people who are very old, and pregnant women, and if you're sick. So like if you have a cold, yes, definitely you need extra rest and you should rest. You should, take a nap. But for the rest of us, we should be getting our high quality 6, 7, maybe 8 hours of sleep at night, and then have enough energy to last us for the whole day. Excuse me. Let me see if there's anything else here that I wanted to mention. We're nearly out of time. I wanted to ask, let's do this. Just quickly, does anyone have a barrier to sleep that you're not sure how to work on? And we'll try to troubleshoot it together if anyone has anything. No? Okay, y'all look like you have everything under control. You have an action plan. You're ready to go and work on it. Okay, if you come up with anything, please feel free to email me. If you're not sure how to deal with it, just email me and I'll try to send you back some ideas, or I will send you back some ideas to try to help you.
How do you shut your mind down? Like, how do you do that?
I'm going to have to come back to you with an answer.
Yeah, that's fine. But that was one that, because I can go to bed, lay down, turn all those things that you talk about, lights out, turn your phone over so it's not glaring, turn it off.
Yeah.
I've done that, turn it off, do everything.
Yeah.
Lay down, and I cannot shut it down. Like, I'm worried about this and that and this.
Yeah.
Instead of saying these people are going to be there tomorrow morning.
Okay.
I need this.
I have an answer for you. Yeah. Brandy wrote down journaling. Yeah. Keeping a notebook next to your bed. Like if you're worried, like, oh, I need to make sure I remember this for tomorrow, just write it down so that you won't forget. Keep a small notebook, keep a pencil or a pen there next to your bed and write it down. Another thing you can do is, initially the reason I was like, I'm going to have to get back to you is because I don't have this problem anymore. And I couldn't immediately think of how did I solve the problem? But I remember now, when you lie down to go to sleep, you can work on a breathing practice to help you calm your mind down and chase out any thoughts that are in there. You can also kind of work on a meditation version, like a meditative type practice. I'm going like this because I'm like imagining that I'm sleeping, but you can meditate on the idea of relaxing. Meditate on the idea of I'm like so relaxed that I'm like heavy on my bed. That feeling of relaxation and heaviness can also be a great way to help you fall asleep. Like turn off your mind and go to sleep. Yeah, give your mind a job, the job of paying attention to the breathing rather than letting it run around like a wild monkey thinking about your grocery list for tomorrow.
Mm.
Yeah. Making a list for the next day. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I'm a big proponent of like having a calendar and planning your days. That way you know what's coming and you don't have to be worrying about it.
I do all of that. That's why I thought I have a serious problem, because I do the journaling and the listing and the planning and everything. And I don't even worry about that I get everything. I know I have everything written down and planned. And
Yeah,
I still am having a hard time shutting down and forgetting.
yeah.
So for
It's just
me,
a
like
matter of,
oh, sorry.
it's just a matter of developing a new habit. Like right now, your mind has the habit of thinking and worrying. Give your mind the new habit of we're going to do a breathing practice, or we're going to meditate on feeling relaxed. Yeah. What were you saying, Brandy?
Just like for me, that breathing alone does not help because my mind is too amped up.
Mhm.
But doing things with my hands is very meditative to me.
Yeah.
So like I do a lot of art journaling, but you could even maybe just color or make a mandala. Like there's lots of like things you can be more active that
Mhm.
can quiet your mind, because I have this problem so bad with my brain.
Those are all meditative activities that you mentioned, Brandy, like, doing
Mhm.
coloring or like crochet or something. It's like you're focusing, you're giving your mind the job of focusing on one thing. So they're meditative type activities. Carla in the comments is recommending sleep sounds. And I know that some people use a meditation, like a sleep app. I don't know what it's called, but there's apps that help you like relax and fall asleep. I would not want to propose to do that on the long term, but if you're having an especially busy mind and you're having trouble with the onset of sleep, that might be a good tool for the short term. Calm is the name of the app. Jenny asked, how long should it take you to fall asleep per Ayurveda? Like within a few minutes, 5-10 minutes. Yeah. Shouldn't take too long at all. Yeah. Okay, good. So I don't want to steal from you by keeping you beyond the time that we have planned for today. So let me wrap this up now with homework. So homework for this week, there's a lot of homework. I don't know if you were prepared for this, but one is make a plan for your yoga practice for this week. It does not have to be every day. It doesn't have to be an hour, but see what's reasonable for you for this week and do some yoga practice. I would suggest doing it at least 2 times. And, they can be 2 15-minute practices at a minimum, but you can also do more than that. Practice at least one of the breathing techniques. We talked about 3. One was counting. One was like visualizing the lengthened out inhale and exhale words. And the third one was using the sliding nyasam. So practice, 1 or 2 of these techniques after your asana practice or whenever you remember throughout the day. Yeah. You could do it if you're driving. If you're sitting at a red light, I would not recommend doing your breathing practice while driving because it's too, you need to focus on your driving. And then see what adjustments you can make to your sleep hygiene, your sleep routine. See if you can start working on improving your quality of sleep so that the onset is easy. You stay asleep mostly throughout the night and you wake up feeling refreshed, or at least a little more refreshed than you usually do. Okay, any questions? All right. Well, that's all for today then. Thank you everybody for being here and for all of your great discussion and questions and ideas. It was really, it adds a lot, I think, when people are actively participating in the conversation. So thank you for that. Okay, well, have a great rest of your weekend and I'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.